Hello, IK here. How to learn ReactJS? We can learn shallow, or we can learn deep. What is popular, I don't speak about that, but to understand anything what we learn, we must learn deep. And only understanding would be durated, would be there is a future. And okay, let's get ReactJS. I said in previous video that encapsulation is most important. It is same as in object-oriented programming. Every object is encapsulate. It means every object is fortress, and nobody can enter without permission from inside of object. What is a similarity with the ReactJS application? Same. It is same. In component, in ReactJS application, components are encapsulate, what means nobody from outside can enter in without permission from inside. Let's get to see step by step from beginning of from starting React application. And it is encapsulation. It is a topic rule because fortress, we must have fortress in software to be saved from outside effect, and from outside effect can be malicious, can be virus, can be anything. And how React govern, manage outside effect? Okay, but let's go from the first moment. The first moment when we enter address of React application in browser, or we in our editor run order npm start, at first start index.html. Index.html, here it is in public folder. Index.html, it is what you see here, this all head of that HTML page. Complete this head. It would be always visible, and here is the finished of head. It would be always in page source, but about body, only visible would be content JavaScript product, ReactJS product, and it is component, and it is web page contains that component. Component build a web page, and that web page would be visible through this div ID root. Look at it. Here it is. Here it is page source. Here it is our web page. Here it is our web page. And right click, page source is here. Look at it is in that page source is always this part of head. This index.js is always visible through page source. And because it is only that one single document object model, we call React application, we call single page application. But where is content, what we see through on the screen? For example, this part, add new post, post 1, post 2, where it is? It is, we can see that here in page source. We must go to F12, and here is elements, and you see, here we see actual document object model. It is what we see through div ID root here, and because of that we must expand a div ID root. You look at the div ID root, we must expand it, and to see add new post, form, and all what is on the screen is actual document object model. What is here deep learning? So, in solid, I use only first letter in principles. Solid, select by concerns. Select by concerns. Here, select by concern. It means that index.html, what is separation by concern of index.html? Index.html, there is a role, there is one concern, and it is to be support for JavaScript, because JavaScript always need HTML document. JavaScript is created for HTML document. JavaScript don't go alone in web development. Always go with HTML. And also here we have index.html. It is HTML structure visible to page source, but through ID root div HTML element, through that div is visible actual document object model. It means that encapsulation is index.html. There is only one goal, to be support for JavaScript. When index.html loaded, it calls index.js, and index.js is entry point in React application. And when all finished, all rendering finished, and we see on the screen content, what we see, it is from actual document object model. Actual document object model. And we see where we can see that here in elements. Actual document object model. Take care. We have separation by concern. Index.html is only for to be always in a source page. Why? Because must be always, because through div ID root, we see actual document object model. Again, we have a separation by concern, actual document object model. Actual document object model changes. But who changes actual document object model? If our component directly changes actual document object, it would be directly very risky a connection component with the actual document object model. It would not be encapsulation of component because actual document object model is a side effect. It is something outside of components. It is in memory, stay, like it stay, document object model, but component is virtually encapsulate and separate by concern. It means component, there is only one role, and it is thinking about return user interface. But don't think about how change existing actual document object model. It is job of a virtual document object model. Virtual document object model is again separation by concern. It is only for like coupling between components and actual document object model. And it is coupling for that too. And thanks to virtual document object model, component is encapsulate to side effect from actual document object model. How? Virtual document object model, it is some light version of actual document object model, and it is created immediately when we start application. And any changes, virtual document object model, it is like some listener of changes data. And any changes in data, virtual document object model first change and compare with actual document. If there is a difference, virtual document object model activate algorithm. It is process of reconciliation, activate algorithm that which changes actual document object model, actual document object model. Index.js, entry point in ReactJS application, call our fundamental component in React. But because this application use Redux provider element, React element, provider React element is separation by concern. His job is like coupling between React application and Redux application. And that job of coupling is it is separate by concern. It is the job to connect React. His job is only to connect React with Redux. And what we need that we need a store. What we coding, we see store, install store, and give to React hooks, use dispatch and use use selector. Okay, but let's go now in app, calling to app. It is calling options. It is syntax for calling functional component. And we calling app, look at app. Here it is, app. There is add post form, again calling component, add post form, and calling component post list. It means parent is app is a parent to add post form, post list, and add post form and post list is child, child of app. It is known by name composition. It is one kind how ReactJS create composition of React component. And when we look at it in add post form, here is a form and abstraction about that form. And here is a look at, we call use dispatch here, because from this component we must dispatch title and content from add form. But our data, title and content, must go to remote server, remote mock server, and the remote mock server is a side effect. From remote mock server must come response data, and it is a side effect. It would be a hole in our component, and our component would not be encapsulate, would not be fortress to a remote server. And how we have encapsulation, fortress, and also dispatch title and content. Look at here. Look at here. When we push on button save post, would be called on save post clicked event handler. And here, try structure catch, and finally means a border to side effect. Here is dispatch. Inside dispatch, we await that process dispatch finished. If something would be wrong, it would be wrong in add new post. We dispatch other function. Component, our component, add post form is one function. It is component, functional component. But that functional component dispatch other function, add new post function. And the add new post is separate by concern. There is a concern goals of add new post is to does asynchron operation. It means to go to remote server and turn back. It means create request to post request to remote server, have response data, etc., etc. But it is encapsulated in add new post. And this is border, try, catch, it is finished. It is it is part where we separate dispatch add new post from our component. And both sides is separation by concern. But add new post must manipulate with, must fight with problems with side effect. But our component add post form would not be touched with anything about side effect. And only if there is some error, it would be stopped here. That error would be stopped here. And we have information that there is an error, and we knew, because the separation of concern means that we give our script only one concern, only one goals. And if something wrong, we know, because of encapsulation, we know from what it's coming. And any error coming in that communication and asynchronous process would be closed in that part and inform us that there is error in communication with mock server. It is dispatch new, add new post. Dispatch add new post. Look at this kind of calling. Dispatch is a method of store, Redux store, and dispatch, and in parameter of dispatch we have add a new post. It is encapsulation, excellent encapsulation, because nothing from outside can call add new post. Only dispatch can call add new post. Look at add post new. Add post new. Add post new is also poor function. To be encapsulated in functional programming means poor function. And in ReactJS, we have a poor function. Poor function means isolation from side effect. And we see here how add post form isolate from side effect, dispatch add new post. It is like delegate, asynchronous process, delegate to add new post, And new post work job. If all is okay, we will see, okay, it would be, there is a job in post list, and if all is okay in post list, we will see post on the screen. Poor function. Poor function means that only input, what we give, what we want, that component has, only that input can enter in component. And nothing side effect, we don't allow side effect enter in our component. And for that, here, because component return user interface, and we know what we want in user interface, and only must it be in user interface. Cannot be some surprise from side effect, because poor function means for same input would be always the same output. user interface, return user interface for same input. But when we have side effect, something from side, we don't control that, and it is not poor function. Because of that side effect, we delegate, component delegate, dispatch, by dispatch, add new post function. Add new post function is tank, and there is a complete middleware for that job about asynchron process, because Redux don't understand, cannot follow asynchron process, only synchronize. And add new post middleware and add new post tank would create, would follow asynchron process and inform Redux what happened, and inform with dispatch two action from three possible action type pending, action type fulfilled, or if something get wrong, action type rejected. Okay, it is a two block, one component and other add new post, dispatch add new post, asynchron process. And component, add post form component, there is a function, there is goals, concern to create user interface, concretely one form that we see form for add new post. And it's all. It is only that. It is separation by concern, and we want that concern would be one, not more. Okay. Here is a separation by concern. Here is a poor function. Poor function is a role for to be encapsulate, to be fortress. Separation by concern is to be flexible and all, better maintainable, etc., etc. Okay, it is add post form. Let's see post slice. Pardon, what would be here input in add post form? It would be state. It would be state. Form, there is a state, local state. And look at now here, how we, again, separate from concern state. We need the title state, content state, add request status, and error. It is a local state of add post, but it gives us, we have it return. It is a return from use state. It is hooks function created for manage state. And we have that local state would be managed by use state. By use state, it means that managed local state is also separate by concern to use state. Use state return title, as it is state variable, and set title function what changes title. And it is again separation. And at post form, don't think there is nothing with the manage state. Manage state care about that use state hook, use state what return title and set title. Title is state, local state, set title would change that state. And add post form, separate by concern. What concern? Only user interface, only return, only return, only return, only return. Look, it is concentration. We want concentration of add post form is user interface. User interface component. There is don't. There is nothing with manage local state. It is use state. But of course, user state here is a part of component, logic component. But we see that separation. Also, dispatch here, dispatch this function method of store. Here, it is part of component. That code is inside of component, but it comes from React Redux from provider, and use dispatch also is coupling between Redux and React. Use dispatch, and here we create dispatch from use dispatch. We create it inside of our component add post form, but that dispatch used in component, but created the component delegate task by dispatch tank function, delegate task, and delegate and split yourself from split itself from asynchronous process. Something else here is here. It is not rule, but it is composition. And composition is how a component would used. How component can be used? Composition. Composition. They used in composition. First example of composition is parents child. App component is parents to child. Here it is. It is child component, and here is app. It is parents. It means data flow is from parents to child. But here is we have data flow from global data flow from Redux to subscribed component. But here is a composition. App was called from index.js, and that app start rendering, and first rendered add post form, post list, child must be first rendered, and after that finished rendering, and we see on the screen what we see. Okay, it is composition. App is called, but app called add post form, post list. We see how it is realized. Syntax. This is syntax for calling functional component. Only it is syntax for calling. functional component. Let's get back to add post form and see this on change, on title change. There is visible, all this is visible in actual document object, but this is not visible in actual document object. On change is abstraction event, call handler of event, and that abstraction is important part of virtual document object model, and it is in virtual document object model, not visible in actual document object model. And it is that part when virtual document object model listening any event and any changes of state. And here on change, any stroke in input in form activate on change, start on change event call on title change, and on title change in virtual document object model, also on content change. Here it is, on title change, event handler, equal arrow function, event is on change, event is parameter of that, and set title is setter for value. Event is on change, and target is input. And target, it is object what have value properties. Here it is. Here it is value properties. Value properties. Value properties. Here is interesting. We call it value properties, but in HTML element there is no properties. HTML element has attribute, because it is not object. Only object there is a properties, but here it is value in a role of attribute here in HTML, but virtually, and it is equal variable title, but virtually, look at virtually, value is properties. Here it is. On title change. Value is properties of target, and target is input. It means that every input element there is a input element is target object, and there is a properties value. Here is Hungary notification of object-oriented language, and e.target.value. Event here is object, dot target here is input, but here set content, here is a target text area. Also there is a properties value. You see how it is can be complicated when we learn shallow, when we learn fast, shallow, and fast ahead. We don't see that small details, But if you don't see that small details, we cannot reproduce quality script, quality code without knowledge of that details. Attribute, but here is a value. Here is a value properties. Does it same? Does it same? No. Document object model, there is a attribute value, and it is in memory, and it is some static document object model, actual document object model. But there is, it is physical in memory, real physical space in for every element in memory. But abstraction, it is abstracted image of a reality. It is in abstraction. We have an abstract image of real life document object model. Abstract, real. Abstract, real. And it means that in abstract, here is not name of event. It is event. We know that it's on change. And that event is object. Why? Because there is a dot and there is properties. And event is object, target is object, dot and value is object. Value is object. It is hierarchy in object-oriented programming. And because of that, I say all from object-oriented programming, all principles is valid, not only valid, but we work, we project with architecture, complete architecture, every detail, all is by same principles. In acronym, solid 5 principles, I used only first, separate by concerns. It is enough for this beginning, but of course, you can learn about other and concretely how other principles is visible, is in ReactJS in every part of code. We must understand that object-oriented programming is a name for some period of programming, 90, beginning 1990 until today. But about 20 years ago, begin text. Some programmers produce text about principles in object-oriented programming, and one programmer, Martin, create books and acronym solid. Every letters means one principles, and again I said here I would spoke about first principles because I don't because it is enough for this beginning book, but if you learn all other principles is absolutely include in ReactJS application. And when you know principles, you build it by principles. And when I said that here we have object-oriented programming. It is true by principles, but it is important for understand. But it is not true when we compare with object-oriented programming. And object-oriented programming is a brand name, trademark for that kind of programming. And here we have same story, but it is different syntax, nothing more but syntax when we see it. Oh, okay. But for understanding, for deep learning, we must know it, because when we create application from scratch and create component, you create it separation by concern. It means one task, one component. Also, tank is not a component, but it is same rule. Encapsulation take about asynchronous job, and tank take care about asynchronous job, nothing else. And inform Redux about that process, what happened with the data in that process, because Redux is manager of global state manager. Okay, on title changed. It is abstraction. It is declaration of function, and that problems with what to say, function or to say object, must be disappear, because again, object-oriented programming is programmed by 5 principles. Acronym SOLID. ReactJS application architecture, we build it by 5 rules, acronym SOLID. And it is deep learning. It is deep learning. How I create a component? By one task. One task. Here is, and one task. And what is real life here in application? What is abstraction? Real is document object model. Single page document object model, index.html, actual document object model, but virtual document object model is not real world. It is not in memory, it is virtually. It is play role. But document object model, actual and single page, index.html, they are physically in memory, in real memory space. But virtual part and virtual document object model is something what running in single thread JavaScript. And our ReactJS application, they have actual, they have a real world and abstraction. Real world is document object model. Real world is mock server, data on mock server. Real world is browser, and the position of our application is on JavaScript engine inside browser. And ReactJS application get out through API contact outside remote server through API, all contacts to outside through API. But what is API? API is a layer to hypertext transfer protocol. Browser communicate with outside. It is web server communicate by hypertext transfer protocol. And only through that hole in browser can go out JavaScript, our React JavaScript application. How? Must be created one layer to hypertext transfer protocol. And it is, we call that layer API. How many things I said here in a very little code. A lot of things, and I must have high concentration about what I said. You see, attribute in document object model, but properties here in abstraction. Here is in abstraction. And of course, here we have controlled form. We all value of form. We don't use form as usual for form to send data in hypertext transfer protocol by get or post method. No, here we create abstraction. Title, content. It is abstraction of value in text area and value in input. And when we create abstraction, we use and manipulate with that abstraction. Concretely, we dispatch it to mock server title. And add request status is flag, mark, only for a logic of logic used in this component. Of course, use dispatch here also separation by concern, because use dispatch give us a return dispatch function and give possibility, our components in React give possibility to dispatch function. Concretely, it would be action creator function, tank function, to dispatch to Redux. Redux is separate application from React application. And dispatch like this, we have dispatch, and dispatch work component delegate job to dispatch, delegate job about asynchron, about dispatch title and content, delegate to dispatch function. And who give us that dispatch? Give us use dispatch. It is coming from React Redux package we must install. And it is also separation. It is also encapsulation. This process is encapsulation. This encapsulation means Redux is encapsulate, ReactJS encapsulate, and use dispatch hook take care only about dispatch. add new post, tang function. After that, tang function take care about asynchronous process. Again, in add post form take care only about user interface. In that user interface, we type in input and text area, and it must be dispatched to Redux to store. But we must dispatch add new post action creator tang function must dispatch, and we dispatch it by this, and it is isolation process from component add post form. That process with side effect is it is job of dispatch, use dispatch hooks, not job of our component. Our component is pure function. It means that pure function, that there is no patch with side effect. With side effect. Side effect is document object model, user interface, document object model, it is connection, but add post form not directly connect, but by virtual document object model. Virtual document object model. And any changes in our user interface on the screen in add post form, any changes in title and content would be dispatched through add new post tag function, and any changes in title and content would be by on change event go in abstraction in a virtual document object model, visible virtual document object model, and virtual document object model activates when compare previous version of virtual document object model with new version. If difference, change actual document object model. Virtual document object model, because it is fast in process running program, don't touch actual document object model for comparing. No, virtual document object model, there is a previous version, there is a new version. When there is a new version, there is a previous version, and compare previous, and if it is difference, then go to side effect, go to actual document object model, changes it, and the changes only the most possible focus part as possible. Don't changes a complete component, like here, changes only input value in that document object model, actual document object model. Changes only input. It means changes only parameter. Properties value changes parameter. Okay. Okay, it is for we go in our process to add post form. There is a post list form, and there is update post form, and I will speak about that in the next video. But we have the same deep learning all the time. Same deep learning all the time. I something see now I think that I am in React 2 years. And artificial intelligence helped me a lot of. But artificial intelligence is software which build letters by letters, and only now it first letters, second letters, other letters, letters by letters. It is job of artificial intelligence. And when I said artificial intelligence, that ReactJS is object oriented, it said yes or no. It said no, because it is only build letters by letters from some source. And artificial intelligence never can be teacher, because a teacher think by his head and not thinking about letters by letters, what push behind any letters, and thinking with head, real man's hand. And when I said object-oriented, JavaScript is object-oriented, I don't think it is in every detail. No, here is functional programming. There is, for example, for me, PHP, program object-oriented in PHP, and Java also. And there is a difference, but there is no difference in principle, and principle is deep learning. When we now create architecture, and architecture means complete structure of our program plus detail, we have deep learning. And that, and I said artificial solid, ReactJS satisfy, follow, adheres all solid principles, all 5 principles, like object-oriented. And in that kind, I think object-oriented equal functional programming. And when I know it, I know architecture. I will use the solid to create ReactJS application. And in learning programs, we can code thousand kind. Any goals in programming can be realized by different languages, different syntax, and different architecture. And because of that, we must ask ourselves, when we learn something new, why it is like it? What principles? Because without principles, what is principle? What is architecture of that programs? And if we don't eat, we confused. And because I see a lot of contents spoke only in that top final phase of learning, from top, not from bottom. And because of that is confusion. I also learn without thinking about, without learning about principle. But because of that, I was confused. I think it is impossible to know. It is impossible to learn. It is impossible to be myself, and I can never create application from my head with my knowledge because I don't understand it. And when I, through practice, experience, I see where I was wrong. I was wrong in learning how to learn ReactJS, how to learn new programs, architecture, how we architect, what is material with what we build that application. Okay, shallow learning is component is ReactJS, produce component, we create component, and component don't changes, don't render complete web page, but only component in which changed data. And it is something, wow, user experience, all on the screen is like, all changes is fast as in desktop application. It is absolutely use experience a new standard, must be. And we go ahead. But what would be dimensions? How we uh, uh, defend our component from outside? We see we defend it by poor function, by poor function. Uh, how we how we defend our component from side effect? Now we see it is dispatch here, it is user state, it is tank function, it is a virtual document object model, etc., etc. Okay, in same kind of explanation, I will, I hope I will continue in the next video with the next component. It's all for this video. Thank you for watching this video.